Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I hope you find the information that I provide in this channel to be useful for you and your loved one. I'm Madhumita Venkatraman and I'm a mom to a non-speaking autistic teen with PANDAS, working to get him more functional and to express effectively with an ultimate goal to get him independent, or should I say interdependent. Because we human beings, you and I, are social creatures. We are not solitary creatures. We need one another and we depend on one another just for our mere existence and survival. We need to express and communicate our thoughts and needs and wants for our development and progress. And we need one another to share and express and exchange our thoughts and feelings for our emotional well-being. I hope you all agree with that. So without further ado, today we are diving into a topic that is often overlooked but is of utmost importance for many families. Yes, constipation. Constipation in individuals with autism spectrum disorder and PANDAS. While constipation can be a common issue among general population, this can be particularly prevalent and challenging for individuals with autism spectrum disorder and PANDAS. Constipation is something, if you are familiar with and if you're already dealing with, you may already know that managing it requires and involves tackling a wide range of symptoms. And constipation can also sneak upon an individual, creating a discomfort and affecting their potential learning and behavior and even their mood. So let's take a closer look and let's talk about why it happens, how it impacts their quality of life, and how we as their caregivers, what we can do to help them through this and to get into a better health. So let's take a closer look. Let's look into the connection between autism and constipation. Studies have shown that for individuals with autism spectrum disorder comes with a higher prevalence of GI, that is gastrointestinal issues, including chronic constipation. And for people with autism, this can be due to, or this may be due to a combination of factors like sensory processing difficulties, dietary restrictions, and interoceptional awareness, lack thereof, and anxiety-related stress. All these can impact their bowel regularities. And for people with PANDAS, this can be an inflammatory response, the autoimmune response. For both PANS and PANDAS cause brain inflammation, and that can easily get extended to their gut. For how many of you agree that our gut is our second brain? Do let me know in the comments about what your thoughts on gut and gut health and its importance. So here, coming back to the topic of for individuals with non-speaking, or the one that has trouble with communicating, they would have trouble communicating their discomfort or how they are feeling inside. And instead, they might show it only in the form of what seems like a behavior changes. Some of them can become more irritable or aggressive, and others can become more withdrawn. That is why it is crucial for us as caregivers to take a closer look and keep an eye on their GI health. So let's take into the contributing factors of constipation for individuals with autism. So I mentioned about sensory processing issues. Some individuals may have difficulty recognizing their bodily signals, and that's what I meant as interoception. So they might have trouble understanding their body signals for their bowel movement and may avoid going to the bathroom due to their sensory sensitivities. And for another set of people who already have this issue of sensory difficulties, may already be in a very restricted diet, often a diet that is totally void of fiber or enough fiber in their diet, and limited amount of fruits and vegetables for that sake, which is essential for healthy digestion, right? And some medications like antipsychotic and antibiotics can also cause to have constipation as a side effect. And like I mentioned earlier about PANDAS, this constipation could be due to the immune response or immune dysregulation, and the inflammation also can slow your gut motility, making it harder to have regular bowel movements. So when these criteria comes into the picture, it's very easy to lose track of or miss out our chance to doubt and know that whether a child's behavior is due to constipation or not. So I wanted to share about how it was for us and what my child was showing as signs and symptoms and behaviors, and what we missed for a long period of time. My child was very withdrawn from his environment. He totally lost joy, or he totally stopped playing with anything. He was simply a couch potato for a longer period of time. He had trouble with initiation. So he had very less movement unless we prompted him. So if let be, he would be spending his entire day on a couch or on the bed, for he was poor fatigue. So there was no movement, and this only added up to the entire issue of constipation. And his symptoms actually started as urinary frequency, where he lost control of his bladder, which he was holding for about 2 hours, and gradually, but suddenly came down up to 5 to 15 minutes in a matter of 1 week. So his trouble was also due to constipation, because immediately after having a urinary frequency which was this higher of frequency, we saw a neurologist and did all the work, but the urologist didn't pay more attention to the constipation factor of it and didn't order his x-ray or anything further, but simply ruled it out and mentioned that it could be due to overactive bladder. But for our sons, and it can also be a factor where he was diagnosed with overactive bladder for his PANDAS, which was a total misdiagnosis, and was given a medication to control the body fluids. So that in turn caused him to have constipation and severe stool impaction, because he was on this treatment for years and years and years. So at one particular point, I decided to look it all up again. So I asked the pediatrician to order for KUB X-ray, that is the X-ray of kidney, urethra, and bladder. And I also scheduled an appointment with a urologist again, this time only to see a different one. And I asked them to do the entire work again. So they also, by that time when I went to the urologist, I also got his x-ray saying that he has some degree of constipation, but with the pediatrician one we can do a certain degree of work on this. I was lucky to have scheduled him with a urologist earlier, and I was lucky to have that piece of knowledge that I lacked before. So as soon as I scheduled and went with an appointment, I asked them to do all the work that's needed for ruling out his constipation. So she did an x-ray and an ultrasound to figure out what was happening. That was the primary reason for his urinary frequency. And what we found out was very terrifying. His colon was about 5 to 6 inch dilated, not centimeters. It was inches, and this in turn was irritating his bladder, making him to pee every 5 to 15 minutes, which was terrible mistake that we did by just giving that medicine for overactive bladder. And for some who are already dealing with that, some of this just this work on constipation itself is a huge, like if you just get them relieved and keep them going, that itself is a long process. So let's look into the strategies for managing it. In our condition, the dietary interventions, that means to increase their fiber intake and by making them to eat more fruits and vegetables. And if your child is somebody who is on a very restricted diet due to their sensory processing difficulties or mere fear of choking or anything on that factor, trust me, I have seen many families whose children avoid eating certain texture or certain color of food for the mere fear of the food. They think the food is poisoned. If they eat anything that is colored, they think they might die. So that fear is very real, and that is very real situation in children with PANDAS. My heart goes for you. And I really pray you find a way and strategy to come out of it. But this is what has helped our family particularly. We started doing lots of smoothies, we started doing lots of fruits and vegetables, and we reduced his processed, or we never did any processed food, but we moved more towards gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, sugar-free, colors, that means the food dyes free or any preservatives. So I home cook his food from scratch, and till date that's how it is. Even if I let him eat one single thing from outside, I would get immediate impact of it. It could be, for him it could be urinary accidents, or it could be tics or OCD. So that was the primary holistic approach that helped our family, is to do the dietary intervention. For my child was foodie. Another symptom that I noticed with my child is that he would eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. That's pretty much what he would do in a day if I let him be. And he would always have a bowel movement right after he finishes eating. So it's like he eats just to get his colon cleared out. And that was the condition at one particular time. And know this as well. The child, even if the child is going every day, meaning the child is having a bowel movement every single day, that is seemingly more regular, your child can still be constipated. And there is no other way of telling it unless you do a KUB X-ray or an ultrasound. So I urge you to see into this if you see this factor. And another telltale sign for constipation for individuals with non-speaking individuals is that they drape themselves over a furniture or a swing as if you put on a throw blanket over a furniture. That's how my son was. He used to lay over the couch with his tummy pressed against the handrest of the furniture on the couch or on the backrest of the couch for hours together in a day. And he would just be on that position on a swing for hours in a day, meaning that he was feeling the discomfort, but he just didn't express it verbally to us. It's all behavior for him. And eventually, I also came across a book called MOP Protocol. That's by Dr. Stephen Hodges. I think it's to help children with bedwetting issues, teens and preschool kids to teens, or even adults who are having to deal with the problem of bedwetting and night bedwetting issues. So he encouraged the parents to do more daily enemas and bowel stimulants, senna powder, and to keep them more regular. And another thing that helped our family was magnesium, lots and lots of magnesium and vitamin C when he was having to get his colon cleared out and to retrain his bowel and get back his colon elasticity. So we were doing that MOP protocol for about 1.5 to 2 years at that time. And eventually he was on a ton of medicines, ton of magnesium and the cofactors for it. It was a lot of medicine at that time. But what ultimately helped him was homeopathy. So as I mentioned in the previous video, I just went with the whole history of his constitution, right from his my conception with him, all the way until the very age that I went to the homeopath for this particular condition. And that particular medicine, that remedies that the doctor gave, worked in about 27 days. Literally, an 8-year issue got resolved in 27 days for us. And that's why I'm an avid believer and supporter for homeopathic treatment at this point. And while you are progressing and while you are trying to figure out all these things, another thing would be to maintain a healthy gut flora. It is easier said than done, but that's an important piece. Doing one particular part of the protocol alone may not be helpful, but you need to do all these steps that I mentioned at the same time for you to be able to see the result. And that's what we did to be able to see the result. And we were just one lucky family to figure out that his conditions through homeopathy and through the Western medicines, and to get the correct remedy to work on the right time to get the whole treatment sorted out. So probiotic is another thing to maintain an effective and healthy gut flora, and probiotics may be an useful addition to the treatment plan for some individuals. So in conclusion, constipation is more than just an inconvenience, and it can profoundly impact the well-being and the behavior of an individual with autism and PANDAS. So by understanding the root cause and addressing their dietary and sensory needs and working with a healthcare practitioner closely, we can improve the quality of those with PANDAS who are affected by this very condition of constipation. And thank you for your attention to this important topic, and I encourage everyone to stay informed and compassionate when addressing the needs of the individual with autism spectrum disorder. And for more such information, please subscribe to my channel and like and share this video for it to reach many families who might need this and find it helpful. Thank you. Until we see you next time. Bye.